and welcome to our webinar. All right, let me just do a quick time check. Okay, so we're on the clock, so let's make a start. So first of all, very welcome. And so this is our webinar series, Behind the Closed Doors and the Best Kept Secret of Facilitation. So for this series, we have got two parts. And then before I'm going that, let's just quickly introduce ourselves. So I work for an organization called Leadership Tribe, and I'm one of the enterprise agile coaches working in Leadership Tribe. And what we do is we promote agile values, we promote agile ways of working, because we do believe that agile can help organizations, people to be more efficient in what they're doing. And we help organizations, we help leaders, coaches, teams, and what we're doing is we provide training, consulting, and coaching services in agile related field. And what we do here today is we're trying to share the wisdom of the tribe of our company. And what we're trying to do is also trying to help create a sticky learning environment so that people can actually benefit from what they hear from us, and then probably use that knowledge and skills to actually build high performance teams and then create a learning organization from there as well. So this webinar is for free, and this is part of our effort to actually give back to the community. Okay, so just to set up the scene. So today we're having a Zoom call, as I explained, and one of the things which is important to me is that this is not a session for me to pitch, like on facilitation, on agile, but this is really an opportunity for us to learn together, okay? And most importantly, to have fun together. Okay, so there will be some stuff for me, I'll be trying to provide my knowledge, my understanding of certain things, and there'll be occasions where I'm looking for your feedback as well. So, when I encourage you to use the chat window to reply, please, do reply to panelists and attendees as what I just did, so that everyone can see your answers. And also there'll be some poll questions coming up, and if you can just kindly, let us know what you think as well, that'd be brilliant. And also, just FYI, there's no right or wrong question, okay? So you are right according to you. We might have a different opinion, that's a different story, but you are always right according to yourself. So don't worry about right or wrong, just provide us what you think, and let's take it from there, okay? So with regards to this webinar, we have this deck, which will be made available to you after the webinar. And also this webinar is also recorded. So should you need to visit again, or should you need to forward it to your friend or colleague, if you find it useful, then you can take it from there as well. So my colleague Chitra is also on this call, and then she will be sending the email out followed by this particular webinar. So we anticipate this webinar to be between 45 to 60 minutes, and we will try to leave 10 minutes of Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And should you need to raise any questions, and if I can just kindly request you to use the Q&A session, in this webinar, because if we use the chat window, we might asking for people to feedback, and we might be, like conversation might get lost in the chat. So use the Q&A, and I will come to it at the end of the session, yeah, just for the efficiency of the time. All right, so as I have explained earlier, so this is a series of 2 webinars. So this is the first part of the webinar, which we will be exploring a little bit about facilitation, and also mainly on the role of facilitator. So on that count, what we do is we're going to have a bit look in terms of how do we actually define facilitation, and in terms of facilitators' perspective, what are the mindset and what are the stances, what are the competencies a team facilitator should have, for one to be efficient and effective. Okay, and part 2 is mainly focused on the facilitation process. So this is when we'll be introducing a little bit about the facilitation framework, the process, and also the tools and techniques like a facilitator can use as well, when you facilitate a meeting or any particular sessions. And I believe that one is on 6th of October. And my colleague Chitra is going to ping you a link if you would like to register on that one, please also do so. And we'll be, more than happy to see you again in that particular webinar. Okay, so now it comes to the question, facilitation. What is facilitation according to you? Okay, for that, I have got a poll question, and I'm going to launch that, and I'm going to give you 45 seconds to actually think about the answers and take answers which you think are correct. Bear in mind, the questions are multiple choice. So whatever you think that applies, you can make a tick and select that one. Okay, So people have mentioned saying that previous webinars are very easy, so I made this slightly difficult for you all. So let's challenge it and see how much you understand about facilitation. So I'm just going to launch that question for now. All right, first question. Okay, so I'm going to give you 45 seconds. Have a read through, please, and then pick the ones which you think will help you correctly understand facilitation. All right, that's 45 seconds. So I'm going to end the poll there, and I'm going to share result. Okay, so according to our choices, I think most people selected A, providing leadership, okay, and then no one picked B, okay, and 4% of us has selected C, taking the right side and combating against the opponents, okay, and then most of us has selected D and E. All right, thank you very much. So let's have a look. So what is facilitation? Okay, so let me walk you through on this. When we talk about facilitation, we are talking about facilitating the process. Okay, and as it will become clearer towards the end of this particular webinar, we are not talking about the content, and we're not talking about, like who is right or who is wrong, but it's mainly for the facilitator to facilitate the process. Okay, so you stay above the content, and then here why you provide leadership to others through process. So facilitation, they do have structures and process to follow. However, it's flexible. Okay, it's not rigid. It's not like something you have to step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And most of the time, you might plan to the greatest detail, but things may fall apart last minute, and you might change the whole plan completely, and including the structure. And that's why B is incorrect. So C is regarding take the right side and combating against the opponent. So again, we talk about staying above the content, and then it's not about who is right, who is wrong. It's about having this mutual understanding of different perspectives, and how do we bring this perspective together so that we actually generate something which we can agree upon, maybe a decision, and maybe some other sort of resolution to a particular problem. And D is correct because we are going to talk about different tools, and we're going to use the different tools, activities, and stuff like that to actually engage our participants, to actually encourage people to take part in the discussion and to give their thoughts, their ideas and opinions, okay, in the session. And then the last one is delivering outcome designed by the group. So what we're trying to do here is trying to help the group to deliver what is they want, okay, what they wanted to do, what they set off to do. So that's why facilitation, I think most of us got it right, which is great. Okay, so I've mentioned a couple of points here, so excellent. And there are different definitions, provided, to explain what facilitation is. And we have picked, according to us, a good definition. Okay, so I'm showing it to you here. So when we talk about it, it's a fluid process. And in this fluid process, we'll be involving different tools, techniques, and activities, and where we use those things, to actually empower our participant, to actually help them to provide clarity and help them to get engaged and then get their voices heard. And then from there, we kind of like commit everyone to the solutions, and we help the group to come together, and we help the group to work more closely to maximize the productivity. Okay, so this should be obvious from what we just discussed. And it's interesting enough because as a company, we do provide trainings in facilitation, okay, agile facilitation. And most commonly, I would see, like some participants in the training saying that, okay, facilitation based on their original understanding is the same thing as training. Is it really the same thing as training? Okay, so I have got 2 lists here. Basically, it's like characters specifying for facilitation and training. So we have got list 1 and we have got list 2. What I would like to invite you to do is have a look through of all these characters. And according to you, which one do you think is facilitation and which one do you think is training? Okay, can you just use the chat window and let me know your answers, please? Which one do you think is facilitation and which one do you think is training? List 1, list 2. Okay, so I've got some answers pouring in. Please don't look at other people's answer. Okay, it's their answer, it's their understanding. What is it according to you? What do you think is training and facilitation? Okay. Okay, so far I haven't seen anything different. Okay, 1 training, 2 facilitation. Okay, someone said there's overlap. Okay, we'll talk about that in a bit. And by the way, nice to see you again, Andy. All right, so 1 training, 2 facilitation. All right, thank you all very much. Okay, valid point. And I am very surprised that no one actually got this wrong. So what we're talking about is the second one is facilitation. So if you look at it, okay, facilitation, we mentioned about saying that it is actually talking about a flexible process. So it is a flexible process where, we actually engage people, engage the participants so that they can work together collaboratively and work together as a team to provide their thinking, their thoughts, their opinions. So, from there, communicating with each other, working with each other, and we are going to provide some sort of immediate effect. Okay, so in the session, we have discussed so and so, and we come to the conclusion, or in this discussion, we have discussed so and so, we come to the decision of the team that we are going to do so and so. So this on the second list is facilitation. And on the contrary, the first list is training, because training is about the trainers, like what we do in trainings, like we provide you, okay, the knowledge, we provide you the opportunity to apply this knowledge in practice via case studies, via different team activities and via group discussions, so on and so forth. And this is a more like a linear and hierarchical process. Okay, so I'm flowing down things. So this is less to do with that the other perspective. And also for a training to take effect, right, you would finish the training and the people will go back to their reality and they will be applying some of the learnings, applying some of the knowledges to actually do something, to actually make a difference. Hence why it's slightly longer term. Okay, hence why it's longer term. So this actually prepares us of the differences between training and facilitation. So since we all got that right, I'm actually very pleased, and I think we can happily move on to the next section, which is who is a facilitator. Okay, so who is a facilitator? Here I've got another multiple choice question for you. Let me just launch the poll question and we'll take from there. Okay, so I'm launching that again, multiple choice, 45 seconds, off you go, please. Okay, that's 45 seconds, and I'm just going to end the poll now. Thank you. So let me share the result and let's have a look together. So who is a team facilitator? Okay, we have got 7% chosen, saying that know the right answer for all questions and take over the group. And 17% chosen judge opinion of others and evaluate the group decisions. 100% said C, yeah, because we'll talk about it, thank you. Okay, and then 90% has chose increase commitment and maximize productivity of the group. Thank you very much. We mentioned about that. Okay, and then 24% has chosen only involving what happens in the meeting. All right, thank you very much. So let's have a look. Okay, let me just stop sharing and let me have a look who is a facilitator. Okay, so as a facilitator, okay, what you do is you are there to manage the process. Okay, you are there to actually make sure that what we set off to deliver is delivered, and you actually there to provide guidance for the group of people. So as a profession, okay, as a profession, a facilitator might not have the answer for all questions. I know some facilitators, work for conferences and work for, different meetings. And some conferences can be about medicine. Some of the other meetings or workshops they facilitate can be something completely different, say technology. Okay, so they don't need to be subject matter expertise to be very successful at what they do in facilitation. What they need to do, however, is make sure that they know how to work with the crowd of people, and they plan details in terms of what they do, and they change accordingly in terms of like how things are being divided by the group. So they do not necessarily have to be the subject matter expertise. Yeah, and actually, if you're thinking about it, if you know everything about the topic, and you might not be able to stay neutral, okay, because you're thinking, I agree with them, I don't agree with them. I like you, but I don't like you. So they might be difficult for them to stay non-judgmental or stay neutral. So most of the cases, they don't know. Okay, they might not have the context on it, they might not even know the subject matter. And facilitators are being neutral and they're being non-judgmental, hence why we said, they're not there to judge opinions, okay? They are not there to evaluate answers in terms of this is right, this is wrong, and you should do this differently. No. Okay, so they are there to guide the process. And remember what we talk about, process, content, they need to stay above the content on the process. Okay, hence they cannot be judging against people. They have to be neutral. And we talk about using different tools and techniques, and this will be part of the discussion which we have in the second webinar. Okay, and in terms of commitment and maximize productivity, yes, and then they are there to commit themselves to help the group to deliver what they're supposed to do, and also they're there to help the group to stay committed to the group discussion, or to stay committed to the group outcome which they set off to deliver. Okay, so last one is about getting involved in what happens in a meeting. So a meeting, okay, if we look at it in isolation, a meeting is what we have, like, for example, in that particular meeting of whatever the hours are involved for the meeting or workshop. However, before the meeting, and facilitator need to prepare. Okay, so one need to know his audience, one need to know what's the purpose of the meeting, one need to know how he planned to use different activities or to use different exercises to engage the group. So there's a planning session coming before the meeting itself. And after the meeting itself, we have got another post session, which you probably need to follow up with some of the actions, or if there's any other sessions, like if it's a sequence of meetings coming together, what's going to happen next, what the changes which we need to adopt, so on and so forth. So they are not only responsible or accountable for what happens in the meeting, but before and after as well. Okay, so that's generally speaking, introduce us what the role is as a facilitator. Okay, on that account, what we're going to talk about is the mindset. Okay, so we're talking about the facilitation. We understand what the facilitation is, and we understand the role of a facilitator, or who she or he is going to be, how he or she is going to help the group of people. And now, what's going to help them, right? What mindset do they need to have? So when we talk about the mindset, first of all, what do we mean by mindset? Can you just use the chat window, please? What do we mean by mindset according to you? Okay, again, not right or wrong answer, but according to you, what is a mindset? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I've seen some answers. Okay, that's all great answers. Thank you very much. Okay, great. Ah, lovely. Some really great answers here. Okay, thank you very much. So in general, okay, a mindset, it is, as some of our participants have said here, a way of thinking. Okay, it is a way of thinking, and it's set of attitude, it's set of the, the way how we look at things. And it is like the lenses, like, I'm wearing lenses, right? I'm wearing glasses. It is the lenses how we actually see the world. Okay, my lenses are very important to me because without my glasses, I can't see anything. So mindset is like that lenses, and it actually, it's so important that it determines the way how we perceive the world, and also how we understand and react to this world. Okay, it's just like if I'm wearing sunglasses and the world is gray to me, and if I'm wearing normal glasses, it's all bright. So a mindset is just like the lenses, a set of lenses, like how we understand, how we appreciate things, and how we react to some things. And that's why it's critical. Okay, it's critical. So for facilitators, okay, what mindset do they need to have then? So we talk about this a little bit, okay, in our training courses. And then this is about understanding the fact that there's a saying, if you feed someone for, if you give someone a fish, you feed them for a day. And if you teach someone how to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. Okay, so for a facilitator, you are not there to feed them fish. You are not there to give them a solution, saying that here you go, this is a fish, or this is a solution, and this is what you do next, this is a plan. No, you are not doing that. But what you're really doing is you are actually teaching your participant in terms of how to fish, in terms of how you're going to use, the wisdom of a crowd, how you're going to use different techniques, different skills to actually encourage people to all pour in their ideas. So you come up with something creative, you come up with something people can actually agree, saying that this is what we're going to do as a group. Okay, so it's teaching how to fish over give someone a fish to start with. And the next one, which I've put here, is seeing the best in people and staying curious. So I always recall, okay, at the very beginning of my career, which I don't know anything about facilitation, like I was being asked a question by the interviewer saying that, how do you deal with difficult people? Okay, and then the interviewer used the word difficult people. And then my answer is, I don't believe, they are difficult people, but I do believe, people have got different behaviors, which we need to, work alongside with. And back then, I've got no idea about this, but I think this was spot on, in terms of this particular understanding. So really, it's about seeing the best in people. And in my courses, I teach people saying that do not assume anything unless you are assuming good intention. Okay, do not assume anything unless you're assuming good intention. People are all different. People are all different. It's like babies. Sometimes they cry and they don't even know why they cry. And as adults, sometimes we behave in a certain way. If we are not aware, how detrimental it can be for other people, we're not aware. We are just being ourselves, and we don't even know, what kind of result I will end up. So that's why sometimes it's important for the facilitators to actually help them to raise the awareness. But before we're going to do that, like when we see some dysfunctional behaviors, let's not judge. Okay, let's try to be curious. What actually makes them do what they do? What actually lead them to react in certain ways? What actually makes them tick? What actually makes them unhappy? What would actually make people work together? So be curious about people and then see the best in them. Okay, it's like a mirror, right? If you smile to the mirror will smile back to you. So work in that like scenarios in terms of work with the people, see the best in them, and see how we can help them as facilitators. Okay, so that's next one. And also another thing which I have learned is called the kick-cat result. I don't know if anyone has heard of it. Okay, so I think it's called the kick-cat effect or something like that. So basically, if you are angry, okay, I'm kicking the cat, and the cat will run out, and then someone will be hurt or something like that. It's like a chain of actions, like when things happen, and it will be bad, 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 bad. And then what we're trying to say here is sometimes when you are facilitating, when you are doing things, people or things will annoy you. Okay, say at the very beginning of today's session, I think there was a last minute technology glitch and we were trying to sort it out. And I was like, oh, we have got 2 minutes, let's get it done. And then it was like, okay, come to this session. I'm all happy. Okay, I don't care what happened in the past. I'm being present and I'm happy to see the people from all over the globe. And I'm happy that, we have this presence and I'm working with the people here. And let's not worry about what's going to happen in the future as well, in terms of, if I said this wrong and they're going to hate me, they're not going to like me, and they're not going to join my second webinar. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. Stay at the present moment. At the present moment, I'm enjoying it, I'm having fun, and I'm hoping my audience are having fun with me as well. So stay in present. Okay, and the last one is regarding responding to change. Okay, how many of you would actually agree right now? I wouldn't use the word deep shit like we're on with regards to the pandemic. Sorry, that's wrong. Please erase that from your ideas. And but we are actually in a constantly changing world, right? With COVID coming, everything just changed instantly. Do we all agree on that? With COVID, everything just changed instantly, and things are still changing. We don't know what's going to happen next, and we don't know, what is coming next. And I don't know how the travel plan is going to be. I was supposed to be in Dubai in December, but I don't know if that's even possible. So all these things are changing. And for us, for facilitators, you would actually have a plan saying, oh, I'm going to do this by the first hour. I'm going to finish this subject in the second hour. I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. I'm going to amaze all my audience in this particular course, or I'm going to amaze all my participants in this particular workshop. Things happen. Okay, things happen. And what we do is we need to respond to change rather than following a plan. Okay, we have been in situations where, we went to help people to facilitate sessions, and it was about a certain topic, and, 15 minutes into that particular meeting, people decided, no, scrap that. We don't need that. Okay, we don't need to talk about that agenda item at all. This is something which is more important, and it's going to affect us if we don't react urgently. Let's talk about that. So what you have planned, all the stuff is out of the window. Okay, out of window. So what you need to do is focus on the present and respond to change your approach to actually find something which would actually help your clients. Okay, that's what we need to do. So responding to change. So these are the 4 key mindset points which we have listed out for facilitators. Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick 30 seconds, just let your thoughts just settle down before we can moving on to the next topic, which is about the facilitator stance. Have a think about it. What is it that you're already doing well? What is it that you can improve going forward? Okay, if you have any recommendation for yourself, please write it down somewhere, okay? So you can refer to it, put it on a fridge or something so you can remind yourself. So this is the way where you can develop. This is something which you can do to change your mindset to the way which can help other people, the way which can help you to facilitate your team as well. So from that perspective, we'll talk about that in a bit in terms of self-assessment and self-awareness. All right, so the next topic I have is on facilitator stance. So in terms of the facilitator stance, so this is where, okay, the place as facilitators where we start from and where we return to. So this is like ultimately like our safe place to be, that we need to stay in that stance so that, we can stay non-judgmental, we can include, our integrity and our commitment to empower us to do what we do as facilitators. Okay, and here it's very important, and I actually borrowed this idea, which I kind of like it from someone else when they talk about coaching. So coaching and facilitation, they're all based on processes. And personally, I'm doing my professional coaching, which is an amazing journey, but we can talk about it in a different instance. So on the facilitator stance, I'm using the 7C here, which has explained like what are the stance which we need to hold ourselves to. So the first one starts with connection. So this is where we're actually having this connection with our participants. Okay, so we are actually having like a good conversation. We're actually building rapport, and we're actually being able to understand and connect with each other as a human being. Okay, not as a person who is presenting, a person who's sitting there, but as a human being. Let's connect with each other and build rapport. Next one is caring. So one of the key things which I've learned is that if you do not care about other people, you shouldn't be a facilitator, not a coach. Okay, you are not a facilitator or a coach, because caring is important, that I am genuinely care about what people are going to get out from this session. I'm genuinely care about the person, about their progress, and about the outcome of the group. Because I care, that's why I can commit, I can devote myself to this process and help them. If I don't care, there's no point. Why I'm even doing this, right? So that's me. Okay, so I strongly believe in that. Next one is clarity. So clarity is regarding help client to actually achieve, kind of like a very clear sense of, for example, what the problem is, what are we here to do, and what are we looking for? Is a solution, is a problem, what is it? So you can help your group of people to actually achieve or to actually get that clarity. Yeah, and for that, it's important for you to stay curious. So you are curious about them, you're curious about the problem. So you're helping them to understand what is going on here, what is the situation and what is holding you back, and what is that we can do to help you, to support you, to move forward. So apply that curiosity to your client and in their process to help them to move forward. And that's very important. And another thing is challenge. Okay, so a facilitator is not just there say, yeah, okay, it's not about that. And you are there to facilitate, to help, to support, to guide, and also to challenge. Okay, so when you see something, might hold your client back, and this is where you need to challenge their understanding. You need to challenge them in terms of they become better. Okay, so challenge them in the sense that to help them to achieve what they want to do and help them to get better at the things on the process level. And the confidence actually have about 2 meanings in it. One is about confidence of yourself. So as a facilitator, okay, I know my tools, I know my processes, I know how to facilitate, and I know how to help people. And I have got all the stuff to make me a capable facilitator to help people. And also it's about having this confidence in your client. So I genuinely believe my client has got ability to actually come up with the solutions themselves, to actually understand what is going on, and to actually establish that solution or that decision from what they have got. Yeah, so that's called leverage on their wisdom. So to help them to raise that awareness or clarity up so they know what they want to achieve and they can achieve it. Okay, so last one is commitment. So commitment, it's about, okay, so I am committed as a facilitator to the process, and I'm here committed to the people to help them to achieve the outcome. And I'm here to provide you whatever the support, the challenge I can, so that we can achieve something as a group, like achieve the desired goal as a group. So this is a 7C, okay, which I have gathered, which I find is quite useful in explaining the stance of a facilitator. All right. So on that note, we will be moving to, okay, the topic of competencies. Competencies, very interesting topic. So first of all, let me ask you, so we have talked this much about facilitation, facilitator, like in terms of the stance and in terms of mindset. And according to you, what have you picked up in terms of the competencies? What are important for facilitators? Can you just type in a chat window, please? Again, no right or wrong answer. Okay, just what is right according to you, the key competencies according to you. Okay, beautiful. I see some answers coming already. Okay, so fulfill the commitment, giving 100%, good listener, communication, empathy, leadership, patience, listening. Okay, confidence. Okay, empathy. All right, anything else? Okay, empathy, empathetic. No, Andy, you need to stop applying the knowledge you have learned from the ATF course. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Okay, providing psychological safety, enable forum for free open discussion, beautiful. okay, behavior, competencies, mindset, attitude, passion, connect with audience, great communication, trustworthy, self-confidence. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Asking powerful questions. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you all very much. So let's have a look. What are the key competencies? So this is something which we have gathered from IAF, which is the Association of Facilitators. Okay, so for them, they have listed out the 6 key facilitation competencies. One way or the other, we have covered them in our conversation, but just for the authority of like what we have gone through, let's just go through them together. So when we talk about facilitation, okay, the first thing, and we were talking earlier, is like building rapport, have that relationship. And this is particularly important because we are actually working in partnership with our client. Yeah, so ultimately we are co-working on this process together. We are working on this whole thing. And then how can we as facilitators customize our approaches and our tools and the way how we work to actually best help the client? Okay, so this is something which we need to think of. And also there can be like a series of meetings which I'm facilitating and which makes the relationship even more important because it's not like a one-off. I'm here and I'm gone. Okay, I'm here working with you like continuously, maybe on a monthly basis or maybe for like 6 occasions. I don't know what it is, but having that relationship built up is very important. And that's why we are working together, doing our best as facilitators to help the clients. Okay, so the next one is about plan appropriate group process. So this is where as facilitators, you need to select. Okay, we have got multiple tools, you know, it's like in your weapon, you have got the sword, you have got the arrow bow, you have got something which you can use like from the back, right? Like in the games, you can pick them out. So here you have got different method, you have got different processes. It's like all that like different tools which you can use as well. And then this is something which we can use to foster participation. Okay, so it depends on the context, depends on the culture, depends on the background of the employees or the people who are trying to help. And there are different things which we need to do. So what are the things which you can do? You need to make selections of them and you need to prepare. And in terms of giving them time, giving them the space so that they can work together and they can co-create the group process as a group. Okay, so they can co-work together to create that group process which belongs to them. So the next one is about create and sustain a participatory environment. So this is where, you know, this is where we demonstrate our communication skills, interpersonal skills, and most of you has mentioned that. And some of you mentioned the powerful questions and active listening and providing, you know, constructive feedback. These are the things which we need to use. Okay, and to create that safe environment where people can actually come together, and then we encourage them to think creatively, to come up something, you know, from probably nothing. Yeah, so to assist them in terms of creative thinking, and to sometimes, you know, people are very passionate and then they can go head on, okay, head on like this. And then as a facilitator, what are you going to do? How are you going to facilitate this conflict? How are you going to help them to, you know, resolve the issue between people and help them to work together as a group? And these are the things as a facilitator is very important. Yeah, so we do talk some of this in our training courses as well in terms of how to resolve that conflict. Okay, so next one in the line is guide group to appropriate and useful outcomes. So this is where, okay, within the context which we have established, you know, for the facilitation, and we will try to work with the group and help to draw out the data, to draw out the insight from the group, and then help the group to understand, okay, this is the pattern which is generalizing, these are the trend of how we're working, and these are the root causes of the problem which we're working on. And, you know, having all these things together, and also as a group, how did we do? How do we work together? So it's like a reflection of the group's journey. Okay, how can we leverage on what we have done and then to make it better next time? So these are the things facilitators need to do to guide the group to get better and then to reach that consensus in terms of, okay, this is what came to discuss, this is what we decided. So reach that consensus and decide outcome and then to take it from there. Okay, so useful outcomes as what we have got here. So the next one, build and maintain professional knowledge. I think it's like any profession, okay? And you need to be knowledgeable in your profession, right? I would hope so. Okay, I would hope so. So this is where it says, so for facilitators, you need to have certain knowledge in, for example, organization systems, in management, in group development, in conflict resolution, as we just talked about, problem solving, so on and so forth. So you need to have some of the knowledges in those areas to help you to best help the team. Okay, so this is where it's like I always say, it's like everyone is on a journey. Okay, so it's not like I am there, because it's always more to learn, according to me. Okay, according to me, and there's always something new, there's always something being developed recently, there's always something for you to develop further. So this is where the continuous learning comes in between, okay, for any profession, including the facilitators. And the last one is model positive professional attitude. All right, talking about which, I think some of you would think that that's common sense, right? You will be surprised. Okay, you will be surprised. There was one meeting I went into, and the facilitator came, and the first thing he did is drop his notebook. He's like, threw it on the table, saying, "All right, I know we don't like it, but we have to do it anyway, guys." And I was like, "That's so wrong." It's like said the wrong thing, saying that everyone was just like, "What?" So have that positive professional attitude is very important, okay? And for that, that would actually involve what I mentioned earlier in terms of self-awareness and self-assessment. So you know where you can develop further and where you are not doing so well, maybe at the moment, but you can get better, in the future. Okay, and then for that, I think it's very important to start with the self-awareness. And this is where I've mentioned here in terms of, for us to get better at facilitation, for us to develop facilitation competencies, we need to start from self-awareness. Okay, from self-awareness, and this is where you would know where your potentials are and what you're doing good and what you're not doing so good. And from there, you can actually find out what are the self-develop areas are. Okay, so where you can develop yourself. And I have actually used a wheel. Okay, there are different tools you can use for self-awareness assessment and self-awareness understanding. There's different tests available online as well. By all means, have a search and it will help you understand a little bit more. So what I propose here is simply overlaying the competencies like in the wheel. So around the wheel, you have got 6 areas, which symbolizing, say now what we just talked about, okay, the 6 competencies. Here I present example. And so if you look at this, the 6th quadrant has got a ranking. Yeah, so that's from 0 at the center all the way to 10. So 10 being, I think I'm great about this, but it's your understanding according to your self-assessment, saying, okay, I think I'm great at, say, create relationship with client. I'm great in this kind of stuff, and you can give yourself probably a 10, a 9. And if you think there's some areas which you probably need to develop further, for example, like to guide the group and to help them to achieve the useful outcomes, then this is somewhere maybe you can start looking first, because this is where you have got the lowest score. Okay, so be a successful facilitator, meaning that you need to be good or comparatively good in all these quadrants, in all these areas. And just imagine, the reason why I call this a wheel, just imagine you're doing very good in one thing, not so good in another thing. How would the wheel like? And imagine yourself riding a cycle on that wheel. How would you feel about it? Okay, so this is exactly the reason why I've mentioned here in terms of trying to use different assessment. This is just an example. That's why I said example. Okay, so assess yourself on that and see what is it that you can actually improve, what is that you need to improve, and what is that you can do, and then create a plan from there in terms of, okay, I know I'm not so good at this. What can I do to improve this? Maybe some more readings, more studies, or some training courses, whatever it is applies to you. Okay, whatever applies to you. And for that, in terms of further development, okay, so I have provided some of the readings here and some of the the TED Talks here as well. So by all means, have a watch or have a read in terms of whatever interests you. And it's actually a very good TED Talk, so I would recommend you to watch it. It's like 10 minutes or so. So have a read through on this. And for us, as I've mentioned, we do provide trainings in agile team facilitation and agile coaching. So this is one of the paths which we talk about in agile coaching. And this is where, you know, for facilitation, this is we're going to talk about like all system-like way in terms of, you know, what the facilitation and what the process, the quality of facilitator, and then how do we actually, you know, to use the techniques and use the techniques and tools we have learned to actually facilitate better meetings, to create more effective results, so on and so forth. And also further, that is the coaching course, which personally I enjoy a bit more, because coaching, you know, it actually leverages on every capability which we talk about in terms of the facilitation, in terms of the teaching, in terms of coaching itself, and all the things together to see that as a coach, how can we help the team to be better? Okay, and we have some courses coming up. So one, I think ATF is starting next week, next Monday. So that's a 4-day course for 4 hours, and the facilitation is for next week, and the coaching course is the week after. So if you're interested, please message my colleague Chitra. So Chitra will actually ping you her emails. Be nice to her and see that if she can work a discount up for you. Okay, and up that level, we're talking about enterprise level. So if that's your interest, we talk about, you know, the enterprise training as well in terms of coaching for transition, and how do we actually scale agile at enterprise level. So should you be interested in that, we have upcoming course in October. And if you need more information, again, Chitra is the person to contact. All right. All right, I think I'm doing very well with the time today. So I've actually finished delivery within 50 minutes, which means we have got 10 minutes for the questions and answers. So if you are interested, let me know if there's anything which you have got in terms of questions. Okay, let me have a look at what we have got here. The first question is by Ajinka. So you're talking about choice E, helping the group to come to a desired outcome. Helping the group. I'm actually, okay, hold on a second. Let me have a look. Okay, I see what you mean, Ajinka. Very nice. Very nicely said. I agree with you. It would be better if we say assisting or helping the group to come to desired outcome. Thank you, Ajinka. Point taken. All right. Regarding quiz 1, the facilitator required to deliver the result. Okay, hold on a second, Andy. Okay, is the facilitator required to deliver the result, or they required to enable the team to deliver the end result, or this is the same thing? Okay, so Andy, on that question, okay, I would say that the facilitator owns the process, yeah? So it's nothing to do with the content. So whatever the result is going to be delivered, I would say that's the content. Yeah, I hope you would agree on that. So if that's the content, then yes, you know, it's a facilitator which is required to enable or empower the team to deliver their own result. Okay, so I guess it's the same thing here which we're talking about. So thank you for pointing out. I agree. I need to play better with my words. All right. Is there any other questions which we have for facilitation, please? Okay, Aspen. Ooh, nice to meet you, Aspen, again. So yes, as I've mentioned at the beginning, we will be sharing this slide. So as long as you're registered, you will be sent this deck, okay, if you need it. Okay, and what else? Okay, so Yujiro has mentioned, what do you think about the facilitation techniques mentioned in the book, Training from the Back of the Room? Ah, okay. So Training from the Back of the Room is a great book. Okay, so I would recommend you all to read about it, or at least understand it. And in that book, we are not only focused on facilitation, but also, you know, as I mentioned, you know, how we can use different capabilities to deliver result. And for that, you know, there's lots of techniques we can use. For example, the 4 C's, and for example, there's other stuff, you know, which we can use, leverage from the great book. Okay, great book. So thank you, Jewel. That's a great book, and I would recommend you all to have a look. Training from the Back of the Room. All right, so next one, Akash Patel, is training and training development the same. Okay, I would say training and development. I think I would say that it would depend on the context. Okay, for some companies, they call development HR the same function. For some organizations, training is training, development is development. But personally, I think it depends on the context. But I would assume, okay, sorry, but I'm assuming here that development would actually include follow-up after training, which means how are we going to apply the knowledges, the skills, the competencies which we learned from the training into your work. And for some of the banks like which I have worked with, they have got champions. Okay, so after training, you have got these champions who are very good at particular things. And what you do is you'll be sitting with them should you need to. You can book a time with them, and then you can walk through, with your questions and with your further development needs, and they are there to support. Okay, that's my understanding. So yes, according to me, they are different. So thank you, Akash.